Spirits brings you the finest taste of Croatian beer, spirits and wine. Let your taste buds feel the years of nurtured produce and years of experience in producing some of the best beer and wines from Croatia. Established over 10 years ago and importing various wines, spirits and beers from Croatia, we stock the following products: Osječko pivo, Staro Češko and Velebitsko beers, all naturally crafted brews. We carry a wide range of shortcut spirits, which is renowned for top quality and has won numerous awards for its traditionally produced spirits. Some of these include Šljiva, Viljamovka, Kajsije, Višnja, Orahovac and Medovača. We also have wines ranging from the Ilok region in Slavonia, Belje wines from the Danube region, Malvazija from Istra, and the Palihnic branded Plavac Mali and Poship wines from the Dalmatian coast. Our mission is simple: to ensure that quality, unique and reasonably priced Croatian goods can be enjoyed right here in Australia. We also cater for special gift packs for customers, be they birthdays, christenings, weddings, etc. It's easy to order online, or you can telephone us to arrange a special package. Visit our website at www.ozcro.com.au, like our Facebook page Ozcro Imports, or you can contact us by calling 0419 44 55 18 or email sales@ozcro.com.au. Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be tuning into episode 4 of the CRO Soccer Show. It's always going to be a big one when the CRO Soccer Show comes into town, but tonight especially it's going to be a massive one, yet another epic one. My name is Tonči Prusac. I'm one of the co-hosts, and a good evening to you, Josip Žilić, all the way on the Gold Coast. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Tonč. It's beautiful over here in the sunny Gold Coast, and I look forward to tonight's show. And speaking with Zagreb Hurstville of no less,
Yes.
Fantastic historical club within our Croatian community, who are, we were speaking a little bit earlier today, Tonč, and I was reminiscing about some of the tourneys with Hurstville, and they just come in such passionate droves when they come to the tournament, and they're really a delight to see as a community group to come together. Yeah. So we look forward to catching up with the Gagro family and explaining to us a little bit about what they've been up to.
That's right. The Gagro family, father and son combination. John Gagro, who has been around the club. He's been around the club forever and a day. He's the president, and his son Paul, who is the technical director. Interesting. The club has a two-pronged sort of approach to it. It's got the NPL side of it, of the club, and it's also got the community side, as you say, Josip. Yeah. And for a lot of us out of Sydney siders, I guess out of towners, who aren't in Sydney, sometimes it's easy for all the attention to be on Sydney, Croatia, Sydney United, but Zagreb Hurstville has been a big club in its own way. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, they are the featured club in focus tonight. Thanks to Ozcro Imports. We saw the ad there. Juro Fricek, he'll look after, give Ozcro Imports a call. And I tell you what, after looking at some of those beers and liqueurs and wines or what you're not, I'm sort of feeling a bit out of place having a cup of coffee. I should be having some sort of rakia or something.
Tonč, you know that I'm not one to drink these days, and but right, I can tell you that I have purchased from Ozcro Imports, and I sent it off to some kumovi throughout COVID, during some birthdays, and they didn't waste any time in partaking in the activities and were quick to thank me for it. So thank you, Ozcro Imports, for sending that out during what must have been an unusual time for yourselves, and you got it out there speed fast, and on time for their birthday, so I appreciate that.
There is a great plug for Oz Crow Imports. Oz Crow Imports are, in fact, sponsoring 2 of our episodes. Tonight's episode and another one in about a month's time with a Victorian club, we'll just say it that. But also, apart from John Gagro and Paul Gagro joining us a little later on tonight, is going to be a little bit more of a Gold Coast flavour. The Gold Coast based, he is the general manager of Football Queensland's Southeast Queensland zone. Formerly, he was the general manager of Football Gold Coast, and he's a very dear friend of both of ours. He'll be joining us later on. Josip, who are we talking about?
We're talking about none other than Damien Bresic.
That nickname.
Those that know him over the years know that his nickname Damage. We look forward to catching up with Damien, and most particularly about having people from our community represented at that level and a strategic level for football and what's involved.
So a subject very close to my heart, having been involved with Football Victoria for 3 years down in the Geelong area. I've always felt that there's just not enough of us Croatian people involved in an administrative or a strategic role outside of our own clubs. We're very passionate when it comes to our clubs. That is until we burn out. But we just seem to really lag behind it. And that's what the Italians, the Greeks, the Turks, some of the other ethnic groups do a lot better than us. And then we wonder why those clubs seem to get a better deal. But that's going to be a bit later on. But, mate, you're going to step away from the screen for the time being because you're going to get ready for the news desk. Folks, we have got that much stuff happening in the news desk. So do not go away. You are tuning in to the Oz Crow Soccer Show. It's episode 4. We'll be back very, very shortly.
Some news to get through tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll start off with the Croatian connection at Melbourne Victory and the big 2-0 win in the FFA Cup over Central Coast Mariners. Congratulations to last week's guest, Ivan Keleva, who was so insightful and sharing in his views and his experiences around the world. But Ivan Keleva, Matthew Spiranovic, Anthony Leban, Jade Barnett, Luka Prisho, JD, Johnny Didelica, and Papa himself. Congratulations, guys. I guess we can call you the Croatian connection, unless the gang at Victory are calling you otherwise, but let's leave it at that. Whilst we're in Victoria, we did see that Gospic Bears had a hit out against the Strathmore Split Reserves from Div1 State League. They went down 1-0, so good to see they're getting the rubber on the road over there. We head out further west. St Albans Juniors got their NPL underway, as did a lot of Victorian NPL teams. But the Juniors got underway with a couple of mixed results, with a couple of losses and draws. So a couple of wins, a couple of losses over against Georgies, and their senior men with a 0-0 hit out against Hume. And it's nearing kickoff time, Tonch, for NPL 1 in Victoria.
It is.
We'll wait with bated breath. I think it's next weekend, if I'm not correct.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Over the other side of the Western Ring Road, and we've got Melbourne Knights, and this is the kind of news that I always love to hear, forever and a day. I love hearing the news of elevating a couple of players through the youth ranks. Yep. There it is, Luka Kolic and Ivan Miletic. And if memory serves me correct, Tonch, they're about 17 years old.
Yep.
I do recognise the boys from their junior pathway development in the TIDC at FV, so they're always standout performers. So congratulations to Melbourne Knights on the selection, but more so congratulations to the boys and their families for their earnest efforts to get themselves in that position to be selected.
Yeah, I think in the past, Josip, you've always, and it probably still exists in some ways these days, there are some young players that get to a particular club or to a particular level, and they kind of expect that they're good enough that they should just waltz into the senior team, especially just because they're Croatian or whatever the case may be. You have to earn it. You have to earn it. You really, really do. And it is great to see homegrown talent making their way through the ranks. And then when you have got kids, look, I don't know these two gentlemen, but just, let's bring that photo back on. But I'm just looking at them. They seem to be very, very good, wholesome young kids down to earth.
And good families too. You know, they're always ever present in the community. You know, so it really goes. I love to see that reward. It's not just about the player and being picked up in talent. It's, you know, the mums and dads sitting behind these two young men. They must feel chuffed to say, you know, look, all those early Saturday, Sunday mornings, helping cook chivapa, helping mark lines, helping hang nets. You know, to see their kids, you know, being in this position where they can be selected for senior football is just reward. You know, the kids will never be able to pay it back, and they know that. But you know what? If they just stick to their guns and continue putting that same effort in that got them there, and carry it through, I'm sure that their mums and dads will sit back and say, "Well, it was all worth it."
Now, next week we'll hopefully have a NPL special, NPL Victoria special. It's the first NPL league in Australia. It's kicking off nice and early, mid-February. So we'll look forward to covering that. In the meantime, lots of news to get through. Let's go through it. Josip,
so we'll just finish off with the Knights. The NPL juniors got underway against North Geelong in a derby for the Croatian clubs. Unfortunately for the Melbourne Knights outfits, they had 4 losses throughout their junior ranks in the NPL. So, and congratulations to North and their juniors for continuing on their winning ways. And speaking of North, the women had a 4-3 win over the Knights. So it seemed to be a bit of a theme for the weekend there. The men had Essendon Royals on the Friday night, and what I understand was a good turnout for the club. And they won 3-1. So over the weekend for me, just quietly for Carl and Jasmine, well done. Proud dad moment to see the kids playing in senior football. So good to see. And we're heading over to North's news for the week coming up on the weekend. What used to be known as the Addy Cup or the Geelong Cup.
Still called Addy Cup by someone at the club.
At North, I think the rhetoric, you can't get rid of it, right?
Old habits die hard.
That's right. So they got Bell Park. These days it's done over a weekend. So you got Bell Park and Corio. And we all know everyone wants to come after the scalp of North Geelong, irrespective of where people lie in the leagues. With North Geelong having had 20 titles, everyone wants to come at them. And good. So it should be that way, right? So I hope everyone enjoys themselves over in Geelong and has a festive time over at Rangers, who no doubt will be fantastic hosts.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the longest running regional. In fact, I think it's the longest running tournament in Australia and has been since, oh, goodness me, I think it's 1981 or something like that. So, moving along, heaps to get through.
Sure, mate. Dandy City, they had themselves a hit out with Oakley. Unfortunately, going down 4-2 in friendly matches as they can be. But they will quickly move on to Brinbank Stallions this weekend, who I believe are still managed by Andrew Marth, if I'm not correct. So, that'll be an interesting hit out for the boys. So we wish Dandy City, particularly Mickey C, all the best. And Stevie G. Let's call Steve Goyevich Stevie G next to Mickey C. Let's head the bus over to the west, mate. Get on the Princess Highway and head towards Adelaide. Adelaide, Croatia, ramping up their preparations. They had a 2-1 win over Olympic. So good to see that they returned to form, and they'll get themselves ready for this weekend. So good to see that. And we'll continue on to the west, across the Nullarbor. Western Knights kicked off their night series against Morley with a 3-1 win. And next week we'll be heading out to Domain Stadium in Hartfield Park. So get out and support the Knights as they take on Fremantle City.
Now back onto the East Coast, up in Canberra. A lot of news from the 2 Croatian NPL sides there.
Yeah, so Canberra Croatia kicked off their pre-season at Coniston with a 3-1 win, and a good start for the Deakin crew. So well done there. And then the 23s had a 1-0 win. 1-0 loss, I beg your pardon. O'Connor got underway against Tigers FC, and Tigers FC is a strong outfit in the capital. With the 23s had a 3-0 win, but unfortunately the senior men had a 2-1 loss. Just a call out to the Mini Roos in Junior League, boys and girls, for O'Connor Knights. The 2022 trials are underway. Get onto the social media pages and make your inquiries.
Now, further north, or maybe I guess it's almost like a kind of an easterly north direction, northeasterly. Newcastle, your club, mate, your club. On the weekend, Newcastle, Croatia.
Newcastle, Croatia. So they had that massive hit out against Hamilton Azuri. Hamilton Azuri plays in the Div 1, so just under the NPL system of Northern New South Wales, and they had a narrow 4-3 loss. So you can imagine the sort of competitive game that must have been. Now, I know that Hamilton Azuri are a favourite sort of second club for the locals in Newcastle, Croatia, when things didn't go so well for the club. But good to see them get on the park and get underway in a competitive hit. And this week coming up, taking on Merriweather.
I think we've got some details there.
At
Taro Park
on Saturday.
First grade kickoff, 3 p.m. reserve grade at 1 o'clock. And then if we go a little bit north, Brisbane and Gold Coast.
Head on to Bris Vegas and Gold Coast. They're having a bit of a derby in the John Message Cup. And actually, it was remiss of us not to get around to that topic with Adrian last week about John Message, the history behind it. So let's bring that up with Damage a little bit later on.
Yeah, but Damien Gresic joining us very, very shortly. He's in the green room itching to get on. But before that, we've got heaps of news to get through.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So the Brisbane Knights boys, they had a 5-0 win against Barden Latrobe. So nice preparation for them as they kick off the two-legged John Message Cup. And over at Gold Coast Knights, we did hear a major announcement with Jai Ingham leaving the club, and he's joined South Melbourne in NPL Victoria. So I think it was a surprise to many. There doesn't seem to be anything kind of written or displayed about what the reasons were, but whatever it may be, that's football. And last night I was over at the Croatian Sports Centre in Nerang, and the boys had a fantastic 1-0 win. Probably should have won by more. What I really enjoyed was the last 20 minutes. There was a lot of young boys that came on and lit it up, and probably could have put 3 or 4 away with it's a little bit more composure.
When does the Queensland NPL start? Is it sort of late March?
3 weeks.
Most of the other 3 weeks' time, is it?
Yeah.
All righty. Well, we're going to take a very, very quick break. When we do return, we're going to have Damien Bresic on joining us. He is the general manager of Football Queensland, Southeast Queensland Zone. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back very, very shortly. Requires effort, sweat and strong will, and Macron knows it. A leading global company with the Italian DNA in the production and sale of sportswear. When Macron first entered the sports world in 1971, it was a small yet strong player. Since then, Macron has been growing at a very fast pace, supporting teams, sportsmen and women at all levels, working hard to supply them with the best technical products to help improve their performances. With over 4 million pieces of stock available in our Italian warehouse, including an extensive range of on-field, off-field and free-time products, we cater for everyone from amateurs to professional sporting organisations. Ranked third most prominent football brand by UEFA, Macron keeps expanding its presence worldwide and now even includes Croatian giants Hajduk Split, HNL Prva Liga outfit MK Šibenik, as well as Melbourne-based Croatian community club NK Bunker, amongst its ever-growing international family, and there are more to come. Work hard, play harder, Macron, your next teamwear partner. For more information, visit our website at www.macronvic.com.au or call us now on 1-800-MACRON. My apologies. It is not Damien Bresic that's going to be joining us. It's going to be John Gagro, the president of Hurstville, and he's going to be joining us as part of this week's Club in Focus. And he joins us on the show, on the CRO Soccer Show. John, how are you? It's absolute pleasure to have you on the show tonight.
Evening, John.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having us on, boys. Thanks for those kind words, Joseph, about our club and the tournaments when we always come all the time. So thanks.
Yeah, I've just always been in awe and appreciate it. So, mate, nothing to. It's all on you guys. You've done a great job in harnessing the community.
No worries. Thank you.
Yeah, John. Thanks to Ozcro Imports who have nominated Zagreb Hurstville as our club in focus. But mate, you've been around for a long time as a player, as a coach. Now president. Your dad was heavily involved in the early days. Mate, for a lot of the people that aren't familiar with Zagreb Hurstville, let's go right back and tell us a little bit about the history of the club.
Yeah, well, basically, it's probably formed in 1970. The funny thing is, I live in this suburb called Bexley, and they used to gather in this park just a couple of kilometres away where it all started. And from then onwards, it just sort of accumulated and sort of grew through the area. Used to be a little bit more towards the city, but now it's grown towards more to the south of Sydney. We're basically based here at Cars Park. That's probably a Cobble Bay. So that's our base there, where most of our training's done and where we're always at. Yeah, so that's basically the history of it as it's gone through in the sense of when it all started, you mean? So that's about it really there.
Now, apparently, a very famous surname sake of mine was involved in the club was one of the initial presidents, Nikola Prusac, who, by the way, no relation to myself, but a great man in the Sydney Croatian community. He was the original president. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, pretty sure he was. He was involved very much so. You know, he's the one who actually brought me to the club. You mean? I first started down to 16s, and then I went off to United when I sort of made it to a sort of high level. And one day I was sitting in my garage working on my car, and he came in, and 3 or 4 of my mates gathered us in. And from then onwards, I've never looked back. And that's way back in the late 80s. So yeah, so he's one of the founders. Yeah, Nicola's still around. His son Tommy's coaching our boys, girls. And he plays over 45s, so he's very much involved in that club as well. Yeah. So Nicola's going well, and it's pretty good. Yeah.
Good stuff. Josip.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, John. With the position of the club from where it was, it started off naturally as a lot of the clubs have. You know, starts off with the men's representation and starts to grow into junior football. Where does it sit currently in terms of its playing numbers and stocks? And I know that you have the St. George FA component as well as the NPL. From the outside looking in, and it's been a while since I've been in Sydney and in and around the football circle particularly, but it looks like it's really exploded in terms of your numbers.
Yes, yes, it has. Well, maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we had sort of like 2 components. We had our NPL sort of committee, we had our association committee, and we joined it together and we formed a new committee and a new board sort of thing to start off that off. And I'll have to say maybe that 6 years ago or so, we probably had about 120 associations, St. George Association. NPL probably had this first grade 20s and 18s. And now we're basically in our association NPL together. And what our secretary just told me today, the amount of people registering on board, we could be all together up somewhere around about maybe 550 all up with the NPL program. And our association is basically based from under 6s all the way to 45s, our PL boys, girls program, girls, that's the biggest thing that's grown mostly in our area is the women's football and the girls football. It's just crazy.
I was going to ask that. Do you have maybe a breakdown of if it's 50-50, 40-60 split between the boys and the girls?
Well, maybe from the age of from 6 to the age of 16, it's very much how do I say to you, maybe 60-40. The girls is just loaded in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And they're very successful, to tell you the truth. They're very good. Not say the boys ain't. We've got our 45s, 35s, all age. We've got also our Premier League boys coached by Richard Plesher, which is also our vice president. Yeah, that's
good on him. Oh, really? Vice president? Oh, good on him.
Yeah, Richard's vice president. Yeah, he's very good, and he's coaching those boys. Richard's been involved now for 10 years in the club. It's very much been that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it's always great to see players come back and put their hands up for the committee roles. It's I know we're lucky at North Geelong. We've got people from former players and even former internationals are part of the committee today. But it really is. I love hearing those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Now, Richard was well known, having played for many, many years with Sydney, Croatia in the old NSL. There are a lot of players that have gone from through the ranks of Zagreb, Hurstville onto bigger and better things. And I think a lot of viewers would be very surprised just how many. Mate, off the top of your head, and this putting you on the spot, let's go through some of the players that have gone on to bigger and better things that have started at Zagreb Hurstville as juniors.
Yeah, well, there's a fair bit. Probably the most recent one you have to say is Tommy Uric. He's the most recent one. And as you know, his brother Danny is now signed for Dinamo. He also was a junior of ours. Yes, that's 2. And probably the other one is Ante Chovic. He's also as well there. His young boy is also playing in our NPL program as well. We're going to try to get him on board next year to sort of help us out as well. This year he couldn't. Then you look at people probably like Ante Milicic and Mark Rudin. They will know where they're coaching now, so they also play. I think it was more, maybe sort of Olive Bruce. I'm not too sure. Maybe that sort of situation there. You've got Richie Plesher, who's, like I said, involved with our club now, as well as vice president, and also does a lot of things. And also you've got Joe Vrikic. He's also coaching there as well, part of our programs down there with our youth kids.
There's a photo there of a young Ante Čović on screen. He must have been 8 years of age or something like that, but he's got that. I was
talking to him the other day, and he stands next to you, he's another head taller, I'll tell you that much. Yeah. He did play, Ante did play for our first grade team. He got scouted playing for our first grade team, and from then on he played like with the normal New South Wales NPL1, then up to, I think, Newcastle and up to Greece, and whatever happens, and you can see where he came from there, Wanderers and for Australia. He's a great guy, but He's really approachable and things like that. Who else is Mark Babic?
Mark Babic, that's right. Yeah.
Mark Babic. Who else is there? Bosner, Eddie Bosner played for us a little bit as well. And like I said, the things like that. That's about much I can remember. Ante Moric, the young Ollie Roos, Ante Moric as well. Yeah, there's a fair bit there. We've also had other players who maybe sort of plays other areas and not that side, or to NPL levels and things like that. They're mostly the big ones that did for us as well. And like I said, 2 of them are basically like big time coaches now. That's a big thing as well.
What was in the water at Hurstville? What was their I don't know, the secret to their success? Were they just a blessed generation, or was there just something about the club that really got the passion, the pride? What was it, in your opinion?
I think basically, in our area down this way, I think they just got lucky as a generational thing as well, I think. So I think that one of those teams that I think Rudin played for, and maybe Moric and all that, and there's a few other guys, I'm not sure who they were. I think that age group went from under 6s to about under 12s or something, I think further, without even losing a game before they went off to Summer of Hire and all that, sort of make all that. They're just sort of those sorts of things. And who knows, those dad coaches yelling and screaming of the old-fashioned way. I don't know. I don't know, but I have to say that, yeah, it's just quite funny. And we also, a lot of kids who play in our association, got a pathway to NPL, which my son talked about. A lot of kids do make NPL, SAP programs now in New South Wales, and also to other levels as well. So I don't know, but it's something that's good. Hopefully we'll get more, but it recently hasn't been there, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, John, I did notice, and we did post it up, the change.org initiative that you're supporting in terms of infrastructure to help you guys as well down the track. I understand Cars Bush Park has got its limitations, so and there's a recent move to Penshurst Park with your NPL outfits. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And I noticed you put out a message to your members about supporting an initiative behind the state government. Is there an opportunity for you to reinforce that message here?
Oh yeah, well that was the thing that was basically the reason we forced that message was basically that Strata Jubilee Oval down here at Collar, which is not far from here and not far from Cars Park, which is only a couple of kilometres away. Was Cars Bush Park. There's a pool there, and to cut a long story short is that it's been closed for a while and people have been lobbying to get it back. But to make it happen, they have to basically make it a more of a multi-sports thing. So what would happen? They would have to make a car park bigger. We would lose so much ground and things like that. So next Strata is something, a multi-stadium, which would have all sorts of facilities and things like that, which would accommodate a lot of sports. And maybe in the long term, we might be able to get something like that to help us out with. We're not too sure, but they have to sort of jump into line in the government grants to be second or third from that level to get that money. So that's the reason we supported it, and it's right near our area, and it would have been a great thing. So things are still happening around the place there. There is a petition to sign, and that people know about that, and the council's also backing it behind us as well. So we have got Penshurst now for our NPL program. I don't know if you've seen the pictures there. So the kids training on it. It's a brand new facility there, basically a $7 million facility, and with the Georgia Zipper Council took a lot of time and a lot of meetings and a lot of effort and a lot of talking behind the scenes. Yeah, that's it right there. Exactly. Yeah, it's brand new. It's got unbelievable facilities, and it's perfect for NPL football. And it's got to be grassroots on there as well, and everybody else is going to be used. It's not only for that. But we've got an agreement for a couple of years there now, and hopefully it might be a long-term thing for us as well. So we're quite lucky and quite appreciative of Georgia Council.
Well, congratulations. These conversations. With Tunch, we know ourselves, you've been involved at FV and I've been for many years at North Geelong. These conversations are not easy to have, and they take they take years. They take years to have and to accomplish. You know, even just marginal accomplishments takes 2 or 3 years, but significant ones like this, I hate to think maybe 5 to 7 years, if I'm not wrong there, John.
Yeah, well, I've got to say, I have to appreciate the other club that was supporting us doing that, was St George City, and there's a guy there by the name of Steve Matthews, really was a person we worked together to help get this and this facility. And like, it's got there, you can see, it's got a gymnasium, it's got a basketball court, it's got medical center, it's got, you know, it's got offices, it's got electrical scoreboards, it's got 2 dressing rooms, got air conditioning. It's just crazy what it's got. Yeah, but it did take a lot of time, I have to say. Yeah, it took a while, and we're quite fortunate. And like I said, the club has moved so much forward to where it was, and like our MPL program was playing somewhere else. But yeah, so it's a huge step up for us for that, to get that ground.
Real case of if you build it, they'll come. Yeah.
Yes, mate. Yes, we played a game there on the weekend. The stadium was full, which is great. We had a trial.
Oh, lovely! Great to hear, mate.
Look, John, out of interest, what sort of crowd do you get for a game? And where's the senior team? Is it NPL 2 or NPL 3? Actually, there's 4 NPL divisions, isn't there?
There's 4. Yeah, there's 4. Yeah, well, some we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, it's NPL 4. They haven't changed the format yet. We'll be NPL 3 next year, regardless where you come. Yeah, they're changing it around in that. There's NPL 1, 2, and 3 for our junior base. The NPL 1, 2, and 3. There used to be 4. Oh, it's a different setup, and then NPL 1, 2, and 3 and 4. We're just basically still in 4. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, that situation when we were 6 or 7 years ago, we had 2 committees separated. The NPL program literally really went down the hill, and they were in NPL 2 and all the way down. And great work from our committee. Like to say hello to all of them over there. They do a great job, and without them. This what's happened in the last 5 or 6 years would not have happened without their support.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for them and the sacrifices they put in. It's just amazing where we've come from 120 or so to where we are now, and the ground we've got and what happened before. It's been fantastic.
John, before we move on and talk about the Martin Knežević Cup, which is coming up, we do know Richard Plesher's the vice president. You're the president. Your son Paul Gargro, who's going to be joining us very shortly. He's the technical director. Oh, we think we've just lost him. And my question was going to be, who else is in the committee at Zagreb Hurstville? But unfortunately, we seem to have lost him. We're going to try and get John Gargro back on the deck. In the meantime, here he is. He's about to join us. I think he's very close to joining us. Where is he? Where is he?
Just put his
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and he's back. There he is.
Sorry, guys.
Insert more coins.
Yeah. we were talking about just before technology cut us off. Mate, who's in the committee? I was about to say, give him a plug. Give him a shameless plug.
Yeah, well, it's basically, like I said myself, I've been, and my wife, Gordana, she's probably, her dad used to be president here, and that's how I met her through the ranks. She's Miss Zagreb as well. She's actually our NPL secretary, and she does the gear. She does multiple jobs. Yeah. And you got Tony Chavard as our treasurer and the social media stuff, and he does multiple jobs as well. His wife, Marina. And you also have Marina Chorvic. She's related to Ante. And she's the secretary of our association, and she does all that work down that way. And you have the Vasil family, Mari and Tanya, who involved our committee, and you have Richard Plesher involved that as well. So that's basically they're the guys who've been. We've been quite strange that we've been together now for probably 6 years, this committee, and people have come and gone a little bit, but the basis of it stand together, and we've come to a bit of a family, you could call it, and we always see each other. We socialise together as much as well as everything else. Our daughters are friends now and stuff like that. So it's a good committee, and we're quite lucky to have everybody.
It's like an organic thing. It just all round the football, the society, community.
Yes. It's very much the Zagreb family. We call it the Zagreb family. I don't know what it is, but
that explains
party and drink and sing a lot. So that's what
explains why at every Miss Crow at the tourneys, you can't get a table because you guys take over.
Because it becomes a family affair, Josipa. That's exactly what it is.
That's what it is. The Zagreb family, mate. Zagreb family, I'll call it.
Well, this year, hopefully, all things going well, you guys won't have to travel too far because it will be in Sydney. Looking forward to that later on this year.
Yep.
But mate, before that happens, we've got a really important. You guys have got a very, very important thing coming up. over this weekend or coming the weekend after the Martin Knežević Cup. There it is, Sunday, February 20th. Tell us a little bit more about this and how did this first start? How did the Martin Knežević Cup first start?
Well, Martin passed away a while ago now. That's one of the Martin Knežević Cup's been going, I think, 23, 24 years now. Yeah, there's Martin there. And he passed away very quickly and tragically. And I think it was Nikola Prusak, who was close friends. So Tommy Prusak and was really best friends with him, Nikola's son. And he came up and said to me, we should, instead of just doing the normal times we used to do per year, we just sort of started calling it that. It's a slow build up to it. But now over the years, it's sort of like COVID has sort of ruined it a bit. It's a bit slower this year, but Big Wine's already full. The Masters needs a few, and Veterani needs a few, and the girls is a little bit slow. But I think it's because of COVID. But we have to actually cut it because we just can't get it done in one day. So it's pretty big on the day. So it started like that, and it's grown massively. And it's a big day on that day, which usually starts about 8:30 in the morning, goes to about 7 at night, and but after that finishes, we go to about 12 o'clock at night. We usually bring a band down there or some music down there. We don't stop, so you know what it's like. Yeah, right. So it's a great day for the families to come down. There's food, there's drinks, there's all that sort of stuff like on the day. There's cooking and people just come down, and we invite everybody to come down, and anybody else that's Masters of Veterani like to join in. They've got all those details there, yeah. So it's become a big thing for us every year. It's a huge day.
I can attest to that, Tonchi. When I lived in Sydney for 1 year, and one of my introductory events to Sydney was to come to the Martin Knežević Cup, and it was a fantastic day. Yeah.
There you go. So if you've got a group of 6 of you and wanting to join, contact Johnny there on 0419 011 240 or visit the website hurstvillezfc.com. So that's Johnny 0419 011 240 or visit the website there hurstvillezfc.com. A very, very we talk about the Geelong Addy Cup, Josipa, but this one's has got just as much prestige and just as much history, that's for sure. Now, what we might do, John, we might actually take a little bit of a break. When we return, we're going to bring your son, who's also the technical director, on, Paul, to talk us a little bit about the technical side of things.
All right, no problem. See you soon.
Okay. Don't go away, folks. You're listening and tuning in to the CRO Soccer Show. It is episode 4, and a very, very big thank you to none other than CRO Imports, tonight's major sponsor. Welcome back to the CRO Soccer Show. You are tuning into episode 4. It's all about Zagreb Hurstville. We've just spoken to the president, John Gagro, and surely it's going to be, we'll talk about family affair at Zagreb Hurstville. His son, who is the technical director, he's going to be joining us shortly. But Josip, you wanted to say a few things about one of our business sponsors, which we just saw there. Pleme, tell us your own experience about Pleme. Oh, my apologies. He's just been...
on mute, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you're upset with me?
To sad you me a toy glass. No, I'm only kidding. Actually, speaking of glass, I've started to lose mine. You know, I've been running around on the coaching thing and trying to lose it. I'm trying to get that husky voice. Valentine's Day is just around the corner.
Oh, yeah, watch out.
The Jenna, you know.
Mimi run.
It's not helping. I think I'm losing my voice. I think she's put something in my coffee. My name is it's not about me.
I wanted to mention Pleme. I've had a play around with the app in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it really is a well organised, put together app. The makers of it have put a lot of thought into it, and it's very logical in its presence. You can go into it just official news that comes out of mainstream media, and you can get your tidbits about what's going on about Croatia or the Croatian diaspora and things like that. But there's also a community tab, and in the community tab, people post their events, post what they're up to, whether it be a fundraiser or sporting events.
Yeah.
And then there's also crowdfunding. So if you're an innovative entrepreneur type and you're looking for a little bit of support from the community, great place to reach out and start to let the people know in the Croatia community about your ideas. And we know, like, look at the innovations from Rimac, look, that's just one example of Croatian innovation, right? So, and that all starts with a bit of crowdfunding. So, yeah.
It does. It does.
Use the app.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we talk about, soccer being a medium that binds us together, brings the Croatian community together. Well, let's start using technology as well. And, the Pleme app is an absolute beauty. Now, look, let's moving away from that and onto our guests tonight. We're bringing on the younger Gagro, Paul Gagro, who's joining us. Paul, thank you very much for being a part of tonight's show. Dad John's there. Well, actually, we should say President John's there because
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, so Paul, you're the technical director there at the club. Tell us, we spoke to Alex Trninic from O'Connor Knights a few weeks back, and he outlined what his role as a technical director there was. What's your role involved at Zagreb Hurstville?
Yeah, so like everyone else, I have a few roles at this club. So I do play as well. So I'm a first grade captain, so I'm in a first grade NPL side, but historically, we've never had youth. So Zagreb Federation or State League, whatever you want to call it, NPL now, the seniors has been around 20s and first grade or reserve grade for 40 odd years, but we've never had youth. So essentially, a couple of years ago, 2019, there was a big restructure happening in New South Wales. They basically said to be an NPL, seniors, anything, you have to have youth. So what a bit of a crossroads on what to do because facilities, funding, all those questions were coming up, and I kind of just said to the club, like, we have to do this. This is an opportunity to grow. And I put my hand up. I had my coaching badges, I had my coaching license. So I said, look, I'm happy to step up and take it. Obviously it's my club, so I was motivated to do that. And I've done that. So I'll talk a little bit about setting that up prior. But yeah, my role is essentially working with the coaches. Obviously, we work with hiring the coaches, setting up programs. Obviously, all other technical directors and clubs very much the same. So that goes from trials all the way to setting up training programs. And then my role is actually to just basically there every game day, monitoring, giving feedback to coaches, working with them, and trying to grow our program, make it as professional and as a good environment for kids as possible. So
if we can maybe get you just moving a little bit closer to the microphone, it looks like you're in the bat cave or something like that. There's an echo there.
It's called the handball. That's what all the players call it. They come in, they go up, and they actually come up. They come out and come back in. They call it the handball. It's a bar area.
It's a bit of a hangout spot. Yeah, sorry.
It's a bit of a hangout.
I'll talk a bit louder for you. I'll talk a bit clearer. Yep.
Yeah. Josipa, you had a question to ask Paul.
Yeah, I wanted to, with regards to your playing, your schedule, and then fitting in monitoring kids and the junior coaches and the way they're going about their business. How extensive of a time output is it for you?
Yeah, it's very extensive. It's funny though, I feel like my work is really the off season. Obviously, speaking to lots of coaches, trying to bring as many quality players as we can down to the club. It's the trials, getting programs set up, organising goalkeeper coaching, strength and conditioning, all that kind of stuff for the youth players, and trying to make the program as efficient as possible. It's funny when the season actually starts, it's probably less work for me, and that's as a player, because coaching takes a lot and I've got to give credit to our coaches. I mean, all coaches in NPO, it's 3 times a week, it's a lot of travel, but with my playing commitments, it's just too hard to coach a team. So for me, it's fantastic to do the behind the scenes work and get that the better work that I do in the off season. Obviously takes a little bit away from my work rate during the year. But on game days I love it because as we said, we're at Penshurst Park, so we're there all day. I watch football and just relax, talk to coaches. I try to relax. I get a little bit stressed sometimes, but I try to relax and and then just relax during the day, and I play at night. So the schedule works. It is a lot, but it does work.
It is worthwhile though, isn't it?
It does, yeah. It does work well. Go ahead.
Gives you lots of reward, to see what you've been trying to influence and trying to have an impact on, and then watching it come together. It's nice to see.
It is, yeah, and I can kind of touch on that. I mean, as I said, the big restructure was happening, and 4 or 5 clubs actually lost their license in New South Wales that year. So it was a very scary, kind of stressful time for us. It means so much to us, obviously, that NPL side of things. Me growing up in the club, all my friends, playing together, the same group of boys for a long time. So, it was a no-brainer for me saying, we're going to do youth. And we basically, we kept our license and we got youth, which was fantastic. So that was, I think we got our license in September of 2019, and a couple of weeks later, we were at Cars Park having trials for youth. So it moved very, very quickly. And it was difficult. It absolutely was difficult, especially that first year, because, as you know, a lot of other teams already had youth programs, so they've got players retaining, etc. For us, it was really starting from scratch, obviously. So luckily enough, we had our association, which was strong, and we were able to push a few boys through there, which was great. And there's obviously a pathway there, which is important for us. And I think that might be contributing to the extra numbers coming through, because there is a pathway now to NPL. So again, they work one and the same to grow. But combined with that 2020 season was very, very difficult. Just starting up, the facilities kind of new and get everything ready, and obviously a COVID ravaged year. But from 2020 to 2021, so last year, massive improvement. Just quickly, my goal, I guess, was to be one of the most improved clubs in NPL. That's all we could do. Wasn't too hard, given that we were kind of near the bottom in the first year. But last year, massive improvement. There was a restructure this year. So last year was NPL 1 and 2 in youth in New South Wales. Now they do 1, 2, and 3. We weren't too far of actually getting into 2. So for me, I mean, if that happens, after 2 years getting into NPL 2, I would have been over the moon. It would have been a huge accomplishment. For a little bit short, but just feedback from other coaches, technical directors, from other clubs just coming and saying, wow, what you guys have done in a short space of time from, year 1 to year 2, just it's blowing people away. So credit to the club, the coaches and everyone, because the program's going well. And I think you're going to be better this year, to be honest.
Well done.
What's the support like from the community? Small businesses, the general Croatian communities. Any one of the Croatian clubs up in Sydney that does help out, whether it's financially or logistically with meetings and functions and things like that. How do you go about getting your support for the club?
Yeah. Well, basically, it's very difficult. It might sound strange to say this, but as soon as they see people say Hurstville Zagreb or Hurstville ZFC, you just don't get those non-Croatian sponsors. So we have to thank our Croatian sponsors for that. So we have people like GVK, you see it back there, and that's my niece. My niece, actually, Angela, runs one of the biggest steel fixing companies in New South Wales.
More family connections there.
Yeah, she's a big sponsor. She's been massive. We've got Handy Creek, been sponsored for us 3 or 4 years. We've got Mercon, Mirko Pulic is cousins with Adrian Pulic. He's one of our sponsors as well. Yep. We've got Daleka, small goods place that sponsors our food and things like that. And then new sponsors we've got on this year. There's a few more. We've got a few sponsors on Mercon, another Croatian guy. Kaligo, another Croatian boy, sponsored us as well. We also got Carbiz, another company which Croatian boy actually found for us who works there. And the guy was actually Rescom, they're called, and also VAD Constructions there also as well. So, plus for our association and a lot of people, and we used to have Croatian Club Punchbowl, used to be our base where we used to do all our organisational things and have all our presentations and all our gatherings and that, but as you know, that's kind of closed down now.
So what's happened there? That's been bought. Concord, is it? Concord RSL? Is that up and running? Is that?
No, Concord has just been bought for a fair bit amount, and that's just starting now. The process is going to take, 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, they reckon approval over the course of this year, and then the build is a year and a half or so. So probably they reckon end of 2024. So it's a bit of a slow build in between, which is, look, it's going to be great. It's going to be a new facility, and we're all excited for it. It's the same people obviously coming across from Punchbowl, and we had a good relationship with Punchbowl. Obviously, we did all our events there, presentations. So there's a bit of a gap in the next few years, but once that's up and running, we're excited to continue our partnership with them. And there's actually there's a few soccer fields and stuff around there, so maybe we can do some kind of fundraisers or things. We obviously can't go over there because it's not in our association, in our kind of jurisdiction, but we can do a few things. So we'll definitely look to have a good relationship.
Yeah, that's the blue jersey there. That's the sponsor last year.
Yeah.
Paul, Mr. President alluded to the conversation earlier about players of the past that have come through the doors of the esteemed club. As a TD, have you got your eyes set on a particular couple of talents that might be pushing for a state representation or even national?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to call out any individual players. I'll probably call out our under. If I look at some of the youth players, some of the young boys, I mean, there's a few parts of this. There's some of the young boys coming through from our association coming through. They're in for example, our 15s teams have 4 or 5, maybe 6 players that have come through all the way from under 6s and stayed with the club, and they're doing a great job. There's a few boys there that are ready to go and have been with the club, so we're harnessing them, and obviously watching them grow through the club is fantastic. We're finding the lower age groups, we're getting a lot of really good players, because the St George Association, just to give you some context, is massive. There is a few teams though, so we compete with the 2 St Georges, we're in higher league, and then we compete with Rockdale, who's in the top league. And then you've got the Shire though, which is obviously just a little bit further south, but they're the only NPL team there, and that association is even bigger. So there's a lot of kids to choose from, and we're finding some of the young age groups coming through. There's some little superstar players coming through, and we just want to hold on to these guys as long as we can. But I mean, if the higher leagues come and they are coming, it's hard. It's hard to see. It's very hard to keep them. But it's good signs for us. So for us, I guess it's hard to say where that next step's going to come. But we're promoting a lot of players, and it is hard for us as coaches. I mean, you develop these guys, taking club football, spend a couple of years, and they go to NPL1 clubs. But I mean, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to develop players, and it's a good sign. It does impact your squads a little bit. That's just the nature of how it is, depending on what division you're in. But yeah, for us, the next step is obviously promoting to a high NPL league, and believe me, there's about 4 or 5 in almost every age group that went from us this year to a higher league. So that's the next step for us, and we're seeing that consistently happen. And then the next component of it is probably in the seniors, because we only have 20s in first grade. We'd always have to poach players from other things. So now we're starting to see a good group of boys from 18s and 20s really starting to push into first grade and have a good 20 squad this year. And what we really want to start seeing is some of these boys staying in our APL program all the way through and then coming up into the seniors, which we haven't had for a long time. Absolutely. So that's very important.
Yeah, good to see you got the vision there, mate.
Well, first up, we've got the, let's talk about some of the things happening at the club. There's a pre-season friendly happening this weekend, and this is the NPL squads, is it? Is that all the way from the juniors all the way through the seniors? And it also, there's a good little opportunity there to see some of the sponsors there for the club this year. So that's great to see. But Majors Bay Reserve in Concord. So probably just around the corner from the new Croatian club.
Literally, we're good to see the club. They opened it up, and you literally can look out the window and you can see that.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'd like to have that same sort of setup. Hopefully one day.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So right from 9 o'clock with the under 13s, then culminating with the first grade happening at 7 p.m. But registrations, that's happening now as well. Tell us more, Paul.
Yeah, so that's more for the association. Obviously, NPL is done, so the window's closed in New South Wales. So all our squads are locked up and ready to go. We start actually in 2 weeks. So we've got our trial this week against Inter Lions, as you saw, and our first game is at home on the 19th of Feb at Penshurst against Double Chill. So we're ready to go. So we've been training. All the boys have been starting up pretty much from early January, or trained up to Christmas in early January. Now the association registration is really starting, so that's where the focus is for the club behind the scenes, is getting all that sorted.
Yeah, thank you. For the association, it's important now. This is all starting now, February, March, and they start in April here in Sydney, about 18 rounds. So it's all up on the Herschel Zagreb website.com. If you go on there, get all the information, where to go, where to link up and sign, start looking for kids and girls and boys and girls from out there from all the ages, say 6s into the 16s, and then it's sending memory go. So that's all out there ready to go. So just to get information on our website.
Brilliant. Guys, we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. We've got our next guest. He's itching to get on, Damien Bresic. We're looking forward to having him on very, very shortly to talk about getting involved, having more of our people involved in strategic roles and association roles. But in the meantime, fellas, wishing you all the very best for season 2022, both with the community association side of things as well as the NPL side of things. Really looking forward to hearing some good news from Zagreb Hurstville.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate the opportunity, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good stuff. That was John and Paul Gagro from Zagreb Hurstville. Thank you very much for them for joining us. If you haven't already, subscribe to our exclusive CRO Soccer Show channel on YouTube. Last week we did have some issues with Facebook. Hopefully from now on we're not going to have that problem. But I am told that on the YouTube channel the quality is a little bit better. Josip's shirt does come out that little bit brighter red. So head over to our CRO Soccer Show channel. That's a mouthful. Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. When we return, we're going to speak to Damage, as he's known. But before we do that, a lot happening in Croatia. So let's quickly whiz through some of the news that is happening. The first one, I guess, it's the big talking point, Josip, the one that's everyone's talking about in Croatia, and that is the signing of Nikola Kalinic. Now, this is a huge coup for Hajduk Split. It means that you've got a very exciting attacking trio of Filip Krovinovic in that traditional number 10 role, and then Marko Livaja and Nikola Kalinic as the two strikers, out and out strikers. The euphoria in Split at the moment is incredible. But look what Nikola, the Litvanac, the sports director, and Luka Jakobušić, the president, have done in such a short time, amassed such a unbelievably qualitative team and the depth in such a short time. It augurs well for the HNL, and as we can see the photos there, Subasic, Kalinic, Lovre Kalinic, the goalkeeper, Nikola Kalinic, the new recruit, Marko Livaja in the middle, and Krovinovic. I mean, that is a star-studded group. But look, the rest of the HNL, Dinamo Zagreb, are still, miles ahead quality-wise. Osijek have picked up a couple of very good players. Let's talk about that. Mijot Saktaš.
Yeah, he's made an immediate impact, hasn't he? He's had, I wrote in their first game they had the loss against Slaven Belupo, but then immediately the very next game he's put another one on the board. So yeah, he's not going to go out without a few swings and a few punches, because we know he went away to Arab Emirates or Saudi Arabia, and now has the opportunity to come here and continue to make an impact into the Croatian league. And who knows, maybe he'll stay on instead of the loan period. I think he was signed for a longer period.
Well, in two games, he's come on in the last, 20 or so minutes, scored a goal each. So he's already making a big impact there. But there in the middle there, Aljosha Asanovic's son as well. So he signed on at Šibenik, and there's Škorup and Vidovic. Vidovic has come on loan from Dinamo Zagreb, and Škorup has come from Hajduk Split. So interesting to see some of the young guns coming along in the HNL as well. And speaking of young guns, well, tomorrow morning, I think it's at around about 6 a.m. The Hajduk Split juniors take on Atletico Madrid in the UEFA Champions League, the under-19. So that is going to be really, really exciting, really interesting. There we go. The UEFA Youth League. I know Marin Ljubicic from the first team will be helping out. Stipe Biuk was meant to help out, but he got injured. Nonetheless, I guess where the senior team can't penetrate into Europe, the juniors are doing an exceptional job. But once again, this is all really good recognition for Croatian football, isn't it?
It's fantastic, And then if this young talented group continue on their ways, there's nothing to do other than to keep selecting these boys to come break through to senior ranks. You could talk about your Kalinics and Krovinovics and Livajas all you want. That's fine. They're experienced. They've got the runs on the board. Who knows if players like Livaja and Krovinovic keep doing what they're doing, they'll attract interest elsewhere. So Hajduk has to look into its stocks here and see who they can pull through.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be happening. I think what 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So really, looking
3 in the morning.
3 in the morning, is it? Looking forward to that. Well, look, the HNL round 23 kicks off this Saturday morning. Šibenik taking on Hrvatski Dragovoljac, and then we've got 2 Sunday morning games. NK Lokomotiva taking on Istra at 1 a.m. And then Dinamo Zagreb taking on Gorica at 3 o'clock. Hajduk Split taking on Slaven Belupo.
There's the tricky one, mate. There's the tricky
one. Slaven Belupo, they are a tough one. And the Slaven Belupo coach, Zoran Zekic, has actually come out and said, look, as part of the, the birthday celebrations, this is a birthday celebration round, I suppose, for Hajduk. We're going to come. We're going to chestitat them. Happy birthday. But we're going to come away with all 3 points. And
they're going to blow the candles, though.
Yeah. So that's it. Look, all of these games for Rijeka, Osijek, Dinamo, and Hajduk, all of these games from here on in are must-win games. And the interesting thing about this one, it's a sellout. Apparently, it's a sellout with the COVID restriction in Croatia. They've only got 14,000 fans available to come to the Poljud. But I think because of the game against Osijek in December, Hajduk were banned. Initially, it was meant to be a game played behind closed doors. But they've only had, I think it's the Sjever, I think it was, that's been cordoned off. So now the capacity is only about 10,000. So they can only have 10,000.
They'll make it sound like it's 150, don't worry.
I'm sure they will. And then the big one, Osijek versus Rijeka, Monday morning to finish off this round. That is being played at 3:30 a.m. So
when you look at the table, both teams want to win it, mate. You know.
Yeah, have a look at the table there. Look at that. Yeah,
to stay in touch with the leaders there, Osijek and Rijeka will be going at it hard. You know, both are in the goal differences. So if Hajduk does creep up on them, they're in a little bit of trouble. So they're going to have to rely on points to get them up there.
Yeah. Now, if Damien Bresic is listening, he was on until recently. We're hoping he's going to join us. He left the green room. I'm not too sure where he's gone. Probably taking advantage of the complimentary chocolates and the Oscro import liquors there in the green room. I'm not too sure, but
maybe I hope he didn't have too many of them.
Hopefully not. Quickly turning attention to the Druga Liga, the second division. This is being played. This is resuming this weekend. Orient up on top with 29 points from the suburb of Rijeka, followed very closely by Varaždin. And these two teams will square off in the first game. Look at that. Saturday night, 11 p.m. our time. And as I start to lose my voice, mate, that's going to be a top-of-the-table clash. Mouth-watering, isn't it?
Yeah, and then there's a lot of good games in there. And even you look at a bit of a rivalry around there too for Rudeš and Dubrava Zagreb too. So lots of good football about in the second league, and positions available there for promotion.
Yeah, Damien has just joined us in the green room, so he'll be joining us very, very shortly. Cannot wait. But before we go, one last graphic there of the Hajduk Atletico Madrid game. Whether it's Dinamo Zagreb, Rijeka, Osijek, Hajduk, or whoever else playing in Europe, I think, there are a lot of people that do put their club allegiances aside and just say, this is good. This is good for Croatian football. There are those that can't get rid of those rivalries. I say, fantastic. I wish all the Croatian clubs all the very best in Europe, and I'm certainly got my fingers crossed that the Hajduk juniors will pull through. That's a big. I mean, Fernando Torres, he's the coach of Atletico Madrid. He's got some superstars in that squad, I tell you what.
Speaking of superstars, our guest, Damien Bresic, coming up now.
He'll be coming up very shortly, so don't go away, folks. He's in the green room. He's getting himself all ready, and he'll be joining us after this short message from our tonight's episode sponsor, Oscro Imports. Brings you the finest taste of Croatian beer, spirits and wine. Let your taste buds feel the years of nurtured produce and years of experience in producing some of the best beer and wines from Croatia. Established over 10 years ago and importing various wines, spirits and beers from Croatia, we stock the following products: Osječko pivo, Staro Češko and Velebitsko beers, all naturally crafted brews. We carry a wide range of shortcut spirits, which is renowned for top quality and has won numerous awards for its traditionally produced spirits. Some of these include Šljiva, Viljamovka, Kajsije, Višnja, Orahovac and Medovača. We also have wines ranging from the Ilok region in Slavonia, Belje wines from the Danube region, Malvazija from Istra, and the Palihnic branded Plavac Mali and Pošip wines from the Dalmatian coast. Our mission is simple: to ensure that quality, unique and reasonably priced Croatian goods can be enjoyed right here in Australia. We also cater for special gift packs for customers, be they birthdays, christenings, weddings, etc. It's easy to order online, or you can telephone us to arrange a special package. Visit our website at www.ozcro.com.au, like our Facebook page Ozcro Imports, or you can contact us by calling 0419 44 55 18 or email sales@ozcro.com.au. Welcome back to the CRO Soccer Show. We've just been unmuted. I think people are getting sick of my husky voice, Josipe. I might have to give it up after a while.
No, mate. Bit of honey.
Yeah, bit of honey, bit of mad. But we've got our next guest on, and it is an absolute pleasure to have Damien Brescic on, Football Queensland South East Queensland Zone General Manager. Damien, welcome to the CRO Soccer Show.
Gentlemen, thank you. And thanks for the hype. I certainly hope I can live up to it.
No worry. We know you can, mate. So, thanks for joining us, mate.
Pleasure.
Yep,
Hey, look,
mate.
I was going to say, before we get into questions about what the GM of Football Queensland South East gets up to, it was remiss of us not to get around to the topic of Gold Coast and Brisbane's Johnny Message Cup this coming week and the following. Give us a quick background on that.
Look, it was started most probably, a good 15, 20 years ago, just as the Crow Club Challenge between Gold Coast Knights and Brisbane Knights, or Rockley as they were called then, when we both played in the sort of the same level. And it was just a home and away hit out where we could see each other, eat some chavapi and drink some rakia and get on with our seasons. And then unfortunately, actually at one of the games, Johnny Message, who was one of the founding fathers of Rockley and a stalwart up here and a Hall of Fame member with Sabres, unfortunately passed away or lost his battle with illness. And then we just decided there and then that from now on it would just be called the Johnny Message Cup. So that's where it was born. Unfortunately, since the Gold Coast Knights went to the NPL, their level had sort of risen a little bit higher. So now they do it more of the over 35s boys get together and have a bit of a hit out and a drink. So it's maybe come down a level or two, but it's still a good night out. So tomorrow night at the Croatian Club on the Gold Coast, and then a couple of weeks back up at Rockley.
I think some of the other 35s were warming up last night during the game against Penn Power. There was about a half a dozen of them sampling some of the liquid gold. So
yeah, I was going to ask, what sort of warm up was it, Joe?
It was all liquid, nothing else.
Yeah.
It gets very hot in Queensland. I can imagine. Yeah, Damien. Now, buddy. Yeah. Now let's talk about your involvement in football. And prior to getting involved at Football Gold Coast, you were for many years president at the Gold Coast Knights. You were also heavily involved in the club in other roles as well.
Yep.
When you first got involved at Gold Coast Knights at the time, did you think that one day you'd be sort of, working full time in football? Good question. What transpired that changed your mind?
Look, the short answer to your original thing was no, because it was always deemed as the enemy. And it was like, I don't want to jump to the dark side. But, I mean, I was president at the Knights for about 19 years, I think. And prior to that, I had a number of other roles within the committee. So as my time was coming to an end, I guess, I still wanted to be involved a little bit with soccer. And I went on the board of Football Gold Coast as the vice chair for a number of years. I sat on their disciplinary committee, then I was the chair of the disciplinary committee, and just things evolved, I guess. And then while I was sitting on the board at one stage, our then CEO resigned. They asked me to take a caretaker role. And then when we evaluated how the role should look, I was offered the position full time. And I suppose 11 years later, well, I can't say I'm still there, but the transition happened with Football Queensland, so I'm still in a similar role, maybe a little bit more elevated. But yeah, that's a very short story.
You've got a massive catchment area to look after.
Yes.
Damage. How many numbers do you look after?
Metro or Football Brisbane's average about 30,000 registered players. The Gold Coast is about 9 and Toowoomba's about 7. So the best part of 40-odd thousand players.
Yeah.
100 clubs, or maybe a bit more than 100. Brisbane's got 80. We've got 26 down here, and there's about 20 there. So about 120 clubs. So yeah, it's interesting. But I've only been in this role since November the 1st. So it's still taking a little bit of time to get used to, but it's okay.
And how much staff do you have under you or working sort of with you? And what sort of roles and things like that? Is it competitions? Is it administration? Is it marketing? What sort of roles are you looking after?
Yeah, all that. So the way Football Queensland works, I mean, Football Queensland itself has got 80 staff or thereabouts. So with the different levels, so they've gone. The best way I can explain it, I guess, it's almost the AFL model where everything's centralised now. Football Queensland we've got a centralised competitions base, centralised refereeing base, centralised coach and TD space, and centralised marketing. So all those people I've got resource to, and we're assigned to different areas, and I've got my teams, but eventually, inevitably, they all fall under that one centralised pool. So, I mean, I've got 80 staff to call on if I need it, but we do have our own little teams and things like that are specific to areas that I deal with. So,
and I guess what else is specific to Queensland is the vast distances. You're telling me off air that tomorrow you have to get in the car and drive. Is it 3-4 hours or something like that?
Yeah, I've got a meeting with the clubs in Stanthorpe, so it's about 3.5 hour drive. So 12 o'clock meeting.
Nice wine out there. Make sure you bring back something.
Yeah, apparently, Sheila, they keep telling me that, but yeah, I'll be there and straight back, unfortunately. So maybe next time I'll make it a Friday meeting and you can join me.
You can take Susie with you, make a weekend.
She doesn't. Yeah, okay, no worries.
Good stuff. Oh, yeah, look, I'm glad, Tunch, you mentioned like the different personnel and different departments that would be working with you, and you highlighted on that. One of the main reasons I wanted to bring up a conversation with yourself today is we don't seem to have that cut through from the Croatian community to enter these sorts of roles in these environments. So if we look at yourself in this position, maybe JD as the GM football operations at Victory. Other than that, we see many at coaching level. We see many at that sort of video analysis kind of situation, but in that administration level, we don't see it. In your travels, have you bumped into anyone else from the Crow community that is in these similar roles, whether it be in Queensland or interstate?
Yeah, only Tonchi at one of the conferences I attended in Victoria when he had his FFV shirt on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, look, and it was interesting listening to John earlier where he was saying that one of their committee members is the secretary of the association. So there's one part, but no, like I said earlier, it was almost a taboo for us for some strange reason. We seem to be a very proud nation that almost want to do things our own way, and we almost, I don't know, not that we snub authority, but we want to challenge authority. And one of my biggest challenges, I guess, at the beginning was even the resentment or the perceived resentment I sort of got even from our people, where I've gone to the dark side, and Tissin us is door, and it's like it was that sort of mentality where I'm not a part of them anymore. But little did I know, it's easier to the old Trojan horse type scenario. It's easier to achieve something from the inside than it is from the outside looking in. And I don't know the answer, Gila, because there's a lot of smart, educated people, and if you look at our clubs. Our clubs are most probably some of the best run clubs in Australia collectively, but then we can't seem to get that next step. And it was never a goal of mine, I must admit, and I landed into it by accident, but I certainly haven't regretted it.
Damien, sorry, Yossi, but I was going to say I've been nodding constantly and yapping away because like your words so resonate with me because that's exactly how I felt. And look, I got involved with North Geelong 20 odd years ago, maybe even longer, at the time that Vlado Jakic was involved, he asked me to get involved when it was kind of like a bit of a transition of generations. And one of the first things I realized, being the delegate that attended the local association meetings, was that North Geelong, we were seen as kind of like, almost like, the lepers by the rest of it, because we were never around. We never got involved. We didn't really
the
care.
Antichrist. You were the Antichrist.
Yeah. And look, I really, like, I think I took that personally. I really wanted because the main reason I got involved with soccer was the Croatian community, funny enough, And at the time I said to Vlad, I'll get involved if North Geelong becomes a bit more Croatian, in the sense that it was more of a community club than just sort of isolated in its own little thing. But we were very isolated in the football community as well. And that was something that I really tried to change. But I was at FFB for 3 years, and I think one of my big things was help all the clubs. And yes, I come from North Geelong, but it didn't matter. It like when I was helping at the time, whatever the club may be, it was like, I'm using all my knowledge and experience to help you, because I know the sport is going to develop and benefit, and ultimately my own club will as well. But yeah, from your own people, you had that kind of type of thing, but yet I know down in Melbourne, we've had Pavi Yusuf, president of Melbourne Knights. He's been on what they call the zone committee. We've had Ivan Didulic, I think, from North Geelong, Johnny's cousin. So there hasn't been too many people. And look, some of these roles are very, very strategically important, because they end up voting for, your next board of directors and things like that. And what happens is the Greeks do it, the Italians, the Turks, and whoever else, they it's almost like a lobby. They get their own people in, and then they get what they want to get. And we wonder why we're struggling to get, what we want to get from the federations.
But even going back on Johnny and I think Paul's comments earlier, when they were talking about when the licenses were up for renewal and they had to apply and everything else, it's always a lot easier if you've got maybe somebody on the inside to not so much influence, but even give you advice, even help you with something. But again, it's a tough question to answer by saying why we don't have more, whether or not, maybe we're just more passionate about our own clubs and not really worry about what's happening in the backyard, and we let other people deal with it. It's hard. It's a hard one. Like you said, we've got excellent coaches and players and everything else, and even the odd referees popped up around the place, but from an administrative point of view, we don't. So
I'd love to see more of our community involved in strategic decisions and in getting involved in implementing operational programs. Give us a little bit of an insight about the types of common challenges you face, or common themes that come up on your table.
Not every club needs and wants the same thing is the biggest thing, and then dealing with council. We're dealing with, and again, it goes back to that strategic structure, the infrastructure needs and wants of clubs, and just trying to appease everybody with what they want, whether it's lighting upgrades, whether it's new change rooms, whether it's our fields are shit and we need new turf, and it's just that whole heaps of things coming at you at once. And then when you're dealing from my level at 5 or 6 different councils, even one council's got, so I've got maybe 5 clubs that belong to the Gold Coast City Council who come under one rule. Then the Scenic Rim's got 3 or 4 other clubs that comes under another rule. Then the Tweed Shire Council's another one. So it's just learning to juggle all that political aspect in what they can do and they can't do from a council perspective as well.
So if we look at that in context of someone who's maybe cutting through university and trying to study, that type of policy, procedures, environment, commercial law type environment, they could grind their teeth through, cut through out of university and be looking for an entry level to come into a place like this, right? Yeah. And they're transferable skills, right? So even if you pick them up in the industry, you can bring them to the table here.
But I never went to university. I keep saying I went to the University of Life, and whether or not. But now I understand that you do need that piece of paper that says this is what I can do and everything else. But for sure, I worry at times that some of our younger generation, they want to start earning $300,000 a year straight away. So or you want to become the CEO of Football Queensland. So sometimes you need to get into Football Queensland at, starting level and then work your way up. And like I said, there's 70 staff just looking at Football Queensland. There's 70, 80 staff there from basic officers to our CEO and everything in between. So there certainly is a career in sports management. And the advantage is wherever you start, there's a hell of a lot of sport that gets played in Australia. And what I do is no different to any public service, I guess. Whether you're selling fruit or selling drinks behind the bar, it's still engaging with the consumer. It's just I do it with a football, and other people do it with telecom services or a radio program or something like yours. If the people are happy, they come back. If they're not, they'll look for something else.
The message I'm hearing here is if you're passionate about the football and you've got something that you want to offer, bring it forward. Try and get involved in those committees, because then it's an avenue in. I mean, you look at Football Victoria. 15 years ago, they had some guy that was the head of gymnastics come in and run Football Victoria. Okay, principles might be similar, but did he have football passion in his heart to make decisions for football?
Well, David Gallop's your perfect example, isn't he? Yeah. David Gallop and I can't think of his name now. The other one that came over from rugby union, O'Neill.
John O'Neill.
John O'Neill. We've had a rugby union bloke and a rugby league bloke trying to run Football Australia, and where did it get us type scenario. So
Ben Buckley later on as well. AFL.
Ben Buckley, you're right. Ben Buckley there. So all right. James Johnson seems to be doing a decent job now, but a football/soccer person that's worked at FIFA that's done his stuff. So
the other thing that at the moment there's a real push. And I look, I do deal with parts of Football Victoria still, and I still have got some very good friends there. And being involved with a sister podcast show, Football Out West, and the Geelong Region Soccer Show, I still have a lot of dealings with a lot of people. At football level, at soccer level, there's a real push to get female administrators as well. Now, I know there are some absolutely brilliant female administrators at a lot of our clubs, and in many ways, that old Croatian saying, svaka kuća, there's a woman holds the četvrti stup, whatever. Many of our clubs are very much like that. But, when Josip, yourself and Damien, some of the ladies that have gone on to, academic corporate things, they would be absolutely brilliant in some of these roles. We've seen them come through the clubs. We need that new generation of not just players and coaches, but we need administrators as well.
Well, Gordon is a prime example over at Western Knights, isn't she? She's done a great job over there and continues to do so. But you're right with the female. I know Football Queensland's mantra is they want to get to a 50-50 split on the board as well as administrative level as well, and then pushing that even to on the field surface. I think FA wants us to get to a 50-50 split in participation within the next 3 or 4 years. Will that happen? We don't know. But there's a massive push on women's across the board, not just playing, but everywhere.
Yeah. Look,
all right.
Ultimately,
any last questions?
No last questions. I think ultimately what we've displayed here is what we were talked about behind the scenes is we do have the people. They have the brains and the passion. So if you're out there tuning in, whether you watch the YouTube later or tuning in now, you love your football and you want to be able to be part of decision making that drives forward and gets decisions done for the right reasons for football. Get involved in standing committees. Yeah. And if you're studying areas that involve customer management, government relations, policy procedure type environments, commercial law, there's pathways there for you. And be prepared to do the work at the ground level so that you can reach and aspire to the higher positions.
And even if you're not ready, there are always interns. Football Queensland's always got half a dozen interns that come in and do 2 or 3 days here and there and then learn, which then could help you in the future. Or, you might start as a coaching level and come into a competition management role and then come into something else. So there's opportunities there. But look, it's we just need to try and dispel almost that myth that, it's the other side, it's the dark side. You know, without the administrators, our clubs aren't there, and unfortunately, you know, I have to enforce laws and things of the game, and which don't make our people happy, because, you know, we're a law unto ourselves at times, whether it's throwing a flare, regardless of how many times we have to say you can't do it, you can't do it. So I'll upset heaps of your viewers now, but the only people that it hurts is the club eventually at the end of the day. And then, you know, because they're the rules, you can't do it. But, you know.
Well, Tonchi, we've got an action, mate. We've got an action out of this little AGM we're having here.
Absolutely.
We've got the GM in charge. We've got the AGM. You and I have an action. Every time we get onto a state football body website and we have a look around, our duty, you and I, Tonch, is to go to the careers section, pull out the jobs, and start advertising them out there.
That's right.
Get our people involved.
Absolutely.
We're going to be like sequelvash.com.
Yeah, our Arxia that we're going to organise at the CRO Soccer Show. Yes.
And if there's any vacancies coming up at Footy Queensland, Joe, I'll let you know first.
Paul, I'll be lining up with my resume in hand.
I might be wanting to leave Victoria like thousands of other people. Who knows?
But I think the only thing we need to do is buy Joe some shoes, because he was barefooted last week. I noticed at your thing. So he's doing it again. Good lifestyle up here, Joe.
Fali Puna.
But you want a hard worker, don't you, Damien? You don't want a cross-shot.
Mate, you can't have two like me. I need somebody to do the work.
Yeah.
I make good coffee, Damien. I make really good coffee.
Good stuff. Damien, absolute pleasure having you. And we look forward to speaking to you again sometime down the track. But you have a good night's sleep, and get ready for that big long ride tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you.
And remember the wine.
Really appreciate it, mate. Good job, and keep up the good work, mate. It's great for us. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Good on you, Damien Brasic. He's the general manager of the Southeast Queensland zone of Football Queensland. Before we go any further, Maxi Sentich has popped in a little message there. Tomorrow night, Thursday, 6 p.m. onwards, pre-season tournament at St Albans Dynamo down at Churchill Reserve.
The Vukovar bar is reopened. It's been refurbished. Get out there and get and support the club.
Support the club, St Albans Dynamo, who will be coming up in a few weeks' time as a special club in focus. Look forward to that. In the meantime, next week, we're hoping to have a major NPL Victoria season launch, I guess, preview, if you like. But, Gorspic Bears Masters, St Albans Vukovar, Wednesday nights, another one of your old clubs, Josipe, and Strathmore Split.
I have been around.
You have been around. You've been around more clubs than Mickey Cholina when he was on the show a few weeks ago.
No. I'm no. The old saying that Pukweni David Savinsky used to say, you've been at more clubs than Greg Norman.
True. That brings us to the very end of our show. It's been a pleasure having all of our guests on tonight. As we said, Josipe next week, NPL Victoria season launch. We'll be hopefully speaking to club reps from all three Croatian clubs. That's Melbourne Knights, St Albans Saints, or Dynamo, and Dandenong City as well. Should be a great show. I'm really looking forward to that. And go Hajduk Juniors overnight, and may your team win in the HNL or wherever else they may play.
Laku noć, everyone. Thank you.
Laku noć. Good night. And you've been tuning into the CRO Soccer Show. It's episode 4 tonight. A big thank you to CRO Imports. No relation to us, but they're a great supporter of the show. Thank you very much to Juro Friček. Good night. Laku noć.